the Lean Startup sort of movement was initially founded by a chap called Steve Blank, who had a student called Eric Ries, who then wrote the Lean Startup book and sort of popularized the whole notion. And the idea is that when you're trying to remove waste in a startup, the biggest waste is actually building something that nobody wants. So really what your whole focus in eliminating waste in a startup is to ensure that what you build is something that people actually want. We run a program called Launch Weekend, and the idea there is to help people take ideas and turn them into paying customers as in a shorter period of time as possible, to validate whether people are actually going to buy the product or not. So how the process works is aspiring entrepreneurs with ideas arrive on Friday night, and we teach them something called a problem interview. And then the next morning they go and spend sort of the first couple of hours of a Saturday morning actually talking to 20, 30, 40 customers. And by understanding how the customers think, they can actually predict whether they're solving a problem that they're willing to pay for. What often happens is you have entrepreneurs that have been working on businesses for 6 months, and within an hour or two they've worked out they are never ever going to be able to sell a single item of this product. So they quickly now have saved themselves wasting another 6 months working on an idea which is just not going to work. Once they've validated that there's a problem that people have and they're willing to pay to have solved, the next thing we do is teach them how to fake sell. So to go and actually pitch the idea to customers and try collect some form of currency. Things like either email addresses, phone numbers, if you're really good, even meetings proposals, or even pre-orders. Once they've done that, they then run a whole bunch of additional tests. So they set up landing pages and educational videos and start running marketing campaigns to see whether they can cost effectively acquire email addresses or pre-orders sort of on the internet. And this sort of the early stage validation usually takes sort of anywhere from a couple of days to the first couple of weeks of a business. The next step, once you've validated that customers are going to buy your product, the next assumption you usually need to test is whether they're actually going to use the product and actually be satisfied with it. So how we help entrepreneurs do that is we develop something called a minimum viable product, or a fancy way of saying some kind of low cost prototype to validate that assumption. And usually what you do is there's actually often very cheap and simple ways you can actually validate an idea before spending 6 months building out the whole product. So for example, you can get a low-cost prototype made and actually go sell that prototype and show it to a bunch of customers and see sort of what's the reaction you're getting, whether they're emotionally excited about it.